The year is almost over, so let's take a look through all the crap I played and find the best of the best in 2024. Let me tell you, there were some surprises. Turns out I've played a lot of games this year.
Show me the terror.
Not all great, I should say. But despite it being a meh year in video games, there was still a lot of quality stuff out there. Take Silent Hill 2, a supposed showcase on what not to do. Bloober Team's earlier games weren't bad, but they were nothing to write home about. I liked the medium, but judging from their sales numbers, I seemed to be the only one. So it came then as a massive surprise that the team out of nowhere pulled an exceptionally creepy rabbit from their hat. Yes, I'm absolutely in love with this game. It is so good. I will go so far as to say that it's on the caliber of a Resident Evil 2 remake. Complete graphical overhaul, an enormous amount of new content, including areas, story, and puzzles. But most importantly, they left the spirit of the game intact. Creepy, mysterious, and unsettling, like your creepy uncle at a birthday party. I offer my humble apologies to Bloober Team. Or how about this one? Another controversial take, I think. Here it comes. I liked Dragon Age Inquisition. Yep, but the Veilguard isn't bad either. It's just a little plain and plays it a little too safe maybe. But I like the combat system and the world building, and even the characters are all well written. Except for maybe the Terminator cameo, he was clearly out of place. All in all, I'd say it's pretty decent. And of course there is Space Marine 2, another mandatory addition to any gamer's end of year list. If you need lessons in badassery and ass-kickery, you'd be wise to study under these guys for a while. You won't regret it. An absolute powerhouse of a game, a throwback to when video games were allowed to be simple. The good old days, I miss them. There's shooting, alien stomping, and more shooting. And did I mention there's shooting? Oh, and those enemy swarms are really freaking cool, by the way. But here's a surprise you won't see coming. Tactical Breach Wizards. A lovely turn-based strategy game with the best setup of any game this year. Wizards plus SWAT. You take Harry Potter, put him in riot gear, and pop him in front of some bad guys. All of that in XCOM style turn-based strategy. Oh, and you have time powers too. And while we're at the topic of indies, here's another left fielder. This here is Reus 2. Not Reus 2, but Reus 2. And this here is what we in the industry like to call a hidden gem. This is a god type game, where you manage 3 titans into shaping your world. You will likely be well familiar with the mechanics of this game, because it is eerily similar to when your significant other wants to redecorate a room. You think you have input, but your contribution takes shape into lugging shelves from one side of the room to the other, and back again. In this case, you are the titan. In Reus 2, however, you get to tell the giants. It's a puzzle game. Different flora and fauna go well together and form new tiles. Others shouldn't be placed next to each other because of stuff. Easy to pick up, but as they say, hurdlesome to master. No one says that, I just wanted to use that word. And lastly, in the category of what the heck did I just play, another surprising entry. Say in a different universe, Duke Nukem the ass-kicking, alien-blasting, strip club-loving badass had a sister. What would that look like? Well, I have the answer for you in the form of Sulaco, a retro-inspired boomer shooter for which even the Duke would show some respect. My only complaint, the Cashman code doesn't work. If you know, you know. But fear not, there is more. This was of course the year of remakes and remasters. Although, that seems to be every year. Final Fantasy XVI came to PC and it was glorious. I'm probably the last straggler out there who hadn't played this yet, but I too am now initiated. One of you. Although I probably should have listened not to play this on the Steam Day because it keeps crashing at the Sharada fight, so I haven't made it past that yet. God of War Ragnarok needs no further explanation. It is so good that I replayed it a second time. And side note, if I ever go bald, let it be known to the world, I will be growing a massive beard and shave my head. The Kratos look is something every man must try at least once in his life, or he shall not have lived up to his truest potential. Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Forbidden West, Sony was really on a roll this year. With ports, that is. Not so much with new releases. There was Concord, that was something, but let's focus on the positive. Horizon is really good. There's a lot of talking to be had and skipped, and I don't say this lightly, but there's too much story in this game. Coming from me, that means a lot. But the meat of the game, the gameplay, is still amazing. Hunting robot dinosaurs in a gorgeous open world never gets old. There was also the Zero Dawn remaster upgrade, which you can get for $10. Do we really need this though? But there's something better than hunting robot dinosaurs. Yes, it's hard to believe, but it's true. Imagine you're in a mall, overrun with zombies. What do? The possibilities are endless. Go get a chainsaw from the hardware store. a genuine laser sword, or maybe, and hear me out here, I've heard it said, the lawnmower doesn't just mow lawns. I'm talking of course about the Dead Rising remaster, which was a blast to revisit to say the least. Then lastly, we all know Age of Empires, great games in their own right. But did you know if you take a sprinkle of Greek, Egyptian and Norse mythology, a dash of fantasy, and a splash of Age of Empires, you get a very enjoyable concoction called Age of Mythologies, a very good remake if I may say so, complete with overhauled graphics, quality of life improvements and new game modes. But between the older games I'm also still playing, Baldur's Gate 3 and of course Cyberpunk with its massive story expansion of which I still can't get enough, there is one older game I got completely obsessed with and I'm putting on this list because it had multiple DLCs this year, so I think it's warranted. This one's not gonna be for everybody, but if you enjoy grand strategy games and you have some spare time, you're gonna need it. And change lying around, you'll need that too to get all those DLCs, Stellaris is for you. It is freaking amazing. There is so much depth to this game, which for 290 big ones, it better have. This game has everything. It's one giant story generator in space. Want to play as giant slug monsters? Do it. Or maybe machine overlords? Heck yeah. How about my personal favorite? You can basically replay the Terminator as Skynet. I'm only just getting into it, and let me tell you, this game gets complicated. I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing, but this game has already taken over all my budgeted gaming time. Speaking of games I unexpectedly fell in love with, this one is going to come completely out of left field. Let me give you a hint. Potatoes. Yes, potatoes by itself are good, but sprinkle some guns in and maybe an odd club or taser or two and you've got a recipe for greatness. I am talking about Brotato. There is nothing to this game. Really, all you do is avoid the enemy as much as possible and auto-shoot till the timer reaches 0 and you've survived another round. But it's really captured my heart and I don't quite understand it myself. But between the amazing diversity in class builds, the weapons and items, I have spent many an hour at work playing this game when I should have definitely been working. My boss has told me so. In fact, this video I did right here completely screwed me over for weeks. Literally all these games are like freaking sugary candy goodness that I can't say no to. So there was Brotato and of course Vampire Survivor. But then there was this one right here. They all have their own hook. And for this game it's the fact that you play as 3 survivors at once. I quite love the visual of that. 3 survivors back to back kicking zombie ass during the apocalypse. And as you can imagine, the different builds you can have with 3 wildly different survivors get, as they say, interesting and chaotic and Gangnam Style. But if we're speaking of games that completely wormed its way into my heart and brain, there is one other I shouldn't leave off the list. I've never enjoyed poker much because of what you would call a chronically expressive face, meaning I have the poker face of an excited 3-year-old. So it came as a surprise how quickly Balatro took over my life. As in, I see card combinations everywhere now. But what makes Balatro so good is how thoroughly you can break the game. Well, that and no one can make fun of my poker face, or lack thereof. For example, completely change the deck into HUDs, and then add some rule-changing jokers that give you point multipliers for anything that gives you a flush. This stacking of the deck makes each hand more and more exciting as odds are increasingly in your favor. It is super addicting. And on the opposite side of the paranormal spectrum, we have something just as interesting. The setup of a writer that turns fiction into reality is new. But having said that, Alan Wake 2 is a masterclass in storytelling. The narration in this game is amazing. Foreshadowing, big events, internal monologue and motivations. It adds so much context to the already amazing game world. This is one of my personal favorite games of the year. I know we all hate the Epic Games Store, but this is one reason to go and make an account. Lastly, there was one more big surprise that I didn't see coming. But before we get to that, let me quickly talk about some of the good games I've played that fell by the wayside. Tekken 8. Great fighter with a cool story. And I also recently learned the longest running 3D fighting game franchise, according to them. Another Crab's Treasure. This is one of those games I really wanted to like. It's obviously a great game, but it's also a Souls-like, and my gaming hardware suffers enough as it is. One of my favorite series ever is the Ori series. So when I heard the creators were working on something new, it's a mild understatement to say that I was interested. And as soon as No Rest for the Wicked released in early access, I was on top of it. But maybe I should have waited. First of all, this is definitely something completely different from Ori. We're in fact talking isometric hack and slasher versus platform. But the real crux is that this game isn't really ready for consumption just yet. There is so much missing. Imbalances and bugs, which is to be expected, so this is more of a me problem and I just really wanted to play this game already. The last game I wanted to quickly touch on is Expeditions, a mud runner game. If you've ever been interested in slowly and meticulously towing cargo across impenetrable terrain with constant setbacks and problems, this is the game for you. There's really nothing else like it. Can I make it up that rock there if I winch myself to that tree and kind of fall, drag, swing my cargo across in the hopes that I don't damage my cargo too much? That is the name of the game. And you're going to be doing a lot of that. Although I have to say, I still enjoy mud runners better. But then there was one more surprise this year. A game I didn't think I'd be interested in, but an hour into this game I knew I was hooked. Years ago I played Persona 5 Royal and in fact finished it, but at the end I was so done with that game I didn't think I'd ever play another Persona game in my life. Metaphor ReFantazio in my eyes was very much the same thing and I wasn't that interested in playing it. But then, when my guard was down, it stabbed me in the back. It was during the Steam fall sale that it happened. 25% off, why don't I take a quick look? Overwhelmingly positive, done. And then, I still don't know how it happened, but half an hour later I was playing the freaking game. And what a game it is. Everything from the animated cutscenes, the really likable characters, the turn-based combat system that also lets you move around and attack, it's all really well done. I won't blab on about how good it is, there's plenty of reviews out there for that, but I can tell you this, I foresee many a sleepless night due to this game. And that's pretty much everything of note I've played this year. What have you been playing? Anything I missed that I should try? Also check out this here for the 11 best Survivors games, and this one for the 11 best Resident Evil-like games. And I hope to see you in the next one.